Here we
Here we
are.
are.
How's it going,
How's it
everybody?
going, everybody?
Oh,
Okay.
going,
Somebody's
going,
got some
going pretty well.
stuff going on there. Is that you, Badel?
Shouldn't
We gotta
be.
blame Badel.
That's fine.
Oh man, guys, how's it going? Another Monday.
It is a Monday indeed. It's going pretty well. You know, it is 78 degrees out right now.
Wow.
So I was like, holy crap. It's been a nice day. We cooked burgers on the grill for dinner. So, yep. Got to enjoy some of the weather. And, yeah, here we are to talk about the best of the best news from last week.
I'll tell you what, I thought I had it good. We got in the mid 50s today. I had the windows in the house open and wrong button. And I had the fan in the window. I was just like living it up. I was about to go sunning outside, break out my shorts and go sunning. But man, 78, holy cannoli. That's awesome. What about you, Badel? How's the weather in your neck of the woods?
We were at like 70, 71 today, which ain't bad. Had the windows and doors open. Just been sick since Friday night. Well, since like Wednesday, but just been pretty much stuck on the couch all weekend and today. Maybe tomorrow. We'll see. I don't know. I feel it's one of those. It's like, the boss has been sick for 2 weeks, going around talking to everybody, and now like half the crew on first shift is sick. And it's like, come on, man.
See,
how it happens. It's how it happens.
Well, and then they're like, well, I worked for 2 weeks, and I'm like, okay, and do you want a cookie or something? Like, you got everyone else sick, you expect us to come in sick? That sounds like a you problem.
He can just sit at his desk in the office all day and watch YouTube, as we actually have to operate machines and do this and do that, and it's like more strenuous work than it is sitting at a desk all day.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely.
Well,
but I mean, other than that, I got my Avalon Nanos running, so it's kind of nice.
You're trying to hit your lottery ticket?
And just messing with them. Got the other one running on solar, just seeing like how much wattage I can use throughout the day and night without draining the battery.
Sounds good. Why not? What do you got to lose, especially on solar, for crying out loud?
And there was Altered Component was talking about Hash Watcher.
Mm-hmm.
And
okay.
I sent them a couple ideas after messing with the app. So we'll see.
Nice. Man. All right. Well, we got a few things to talk about today. We're going to talk a little bit about tariffs. We're going to talk a little bit about AI. It's funny because when I was putting this together, I was shooting some articles back and forth to these guys on Discord, and BC was like, man, I thought we were going to have an AI free week.
Mm-hmm.
Surprise.
Yep. No, I don't think, honestly, I just think since 2022 in the creation of like mass produced AI to the public, we have just seen an acceleration of AI in the news, and I don't think that'll be slowing down anytime soon. So to say that we'll probably have an AI free week where we don't talk about AI at all, I think that's done so.
Unfortunately, I think you're right. I did try in seriousness. I really did. And these articles aren't so much like the AI we've been talking about with like advancements. It's more crypto related AI stories. So, I'm going to take the win.
I mean, we'll probably touch a little bit on ChatGPT as well, since we had brought up Anthropic last week. And I said that we needed to wait to see ChatGPT's response. Literally, like the next day, ChatGPT was like, hey, Department of Defense. And I was like, are you kidding me? Oh, come on.
I can't wait when we are going to talk mixers today. And listen, we've seen what's gone on with mixers, right? And the people who have created these being just prosecuted and throw away the key kind of thing. And it's kind of funny. You got to love the government. Do not trust your government. Do not trust your politicians. All right, I gotta wait. I can't get excited yet. All right.
Well, it's like, hold on. Were we ever supposed to trust them? Because I feel like America was founded on not trusting the government. You know, we've come a long
You're
way.
right.
We've come a very long way since then. When people are
Yeah.
like, the government has your best interests in mind. I'm like, wait a second. Are we looking at different histories here? Because my history book says a very different thing than yours does.
Yep. Facts. Well, what do you say, guys? Shall we get down this rabbit hole here and talk tariffs to start it off? I mean, by now, this is kind of old news. We talked about the Supreme Court's decision on tariffs, which was basically to tell Trump, no, you can't do that. And he immediately went back and basically did it under a different law. So, BC, you want to bring that up, and we'll take a look through that.
Sounds good. And honestly, he had been told and advised not do it under the framework that he had done it under, and do it under the framework that he had done it under his first administration, and he just didn't listen. So it was always a guarantee that we were going to get to that point, and I feel like it was all just a game. You know, it was an opportunity to finger point, and then it also opened the door for some of the other articles we're going to talk about here today. But we have this one here that kind of really tied into those tariffs. And the Treasury may need to borrow an extra $1.6 trillion to cover the hole left by the tariff ruling and pay a further $400 billion on the interest of that debt. So when the Supreme Court ruled last month that a majority of the tariffs implemented by the second Trump administration in 2025 were illegal, it left something of a hole in the Treasury's coffers. The White House had been relying on circa $300 billion a year in revenues to help fund a raft of policies, from tariff rebate checks to corporate tax write-offs, in the One Big Beautiful Bill. But the court ruling threw a wrench into the works. The justice ruled the administration could not impose tariffs under the authority of the International Emergencies Economic Powers Act, and the raft of duties imposed on Liberation Day earlier in 2025 were scrapped. In the report released yesterday afternoon, the congressional budget set about calculating the loss of the Treasury resulted from the IEEPA ruling. CBO Director Philip Swagel reported primary deficits, not accounting for changes in the economy, will be 1.6 trillion larger over the next decade compared with projections prior to the ruling. And of course, the fall in income means a renewed reliance on borrowing. The CBO estimate outlines for interest will be 400 billion higher than between 2026 and 2036, compared with previous projections, which had already accounted for a net cost of 2.1 trillion a year by 2036. So,
Color me shocked.
Yeah, but not taking down this deficit in any kind of way, and it is quite wild how over the past year we have collected quite a bit of money, and with that money that we've collected, they're now going to charge interest on top of that, and it's going to take 10 years to pay off. What?
I know. And when they borrow money to do it, they're going to create interest on the borrowed money, which they're going to have to borrow more money to pay the borrowed money, and borrow more money to pay the borrowed money, and borrow. You get my point. Yeah.
Yep. It's something that I've talked about kind of here before, where it's like we're in an interesting scenario where, before in history, the debt really kind of mattered. But we're at a really nice, I say nice, but an interesting time in our future where we're kind of looking at money not really mattering if we really are going to take this AI train where it's going to go. So whatever needs to be done to get along this path the quickest and beat China to it, I think is going to be acceptable. If we're going to be $400 trillion in debt, but then AI comes in and takes care of everything, and now money doesn't really matter as much, then I'd say it was worth it.
Yeah, but do those timelines match up? You know, within the potential collapse of the dollar and the world economy. I'm not even going to say the U.S. economy, because so goes the U.S., so goes the world at this point. But with regard to bringing that potential, and if it's even enough, bringing that potential online with AI, I don't know. I'm not as. That's also assuming AI just doesn't kill us, but that's a whole another conversation right there. But anyway. Just saying.
I mean, I saw an interesting video series online talking about like 2032, and it's supposedly some dude from the future. He's like, the AI decided that we were the mistake. I'm like, weird. That doesn't sound like any sci-fi movie I've ever heard.
No, not at all. There's only 20 or 30 movies like that.
Exactly. Hey, Trade Intuitions in the house. Welcome, sir. Appreciate you being here, man. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's a getting more scary future as we move forward, if you ask me. Oh man, but we're gonna talk more about AI.
End of the year.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
Just wait until like the end of the year or like this time next year, where we will be at with AI.
Mm-hmm.
Like when as fast as it's advancing, it's like this time next year, we're gonna be like, oh wow. AI was that dumb a year ago?
Yep. Well, like ChatGPT just released version 5.4.
Yep. Oh yeah, it's just like clicking now. And remember, these are the models they're giving us. You know that they're working with models that are much more advanced than that.
Yeah, the Department of Defense probably has version like 6.7. Like
with no guardrail.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's what ChatGPT, we teased it at the beginning, but ChatGPT was like, okay, well, Anthropic, if you don't want to take the guardrails off for the government, hey, Department of Defense, here's ChatGPT with no guardrails. And I was like, come on.
Yeah, but they're gonna do it, right? And when last time we discussed AI, you mentioned it, BC, because they're gonna be like, oh, China's gonna do it, so we better do it. You know what I mean? And
it's the necessary evil. That's really what it comes down to. If your biggest enemy is going to be doing something that is less than moral, but will put them ahead, then by using logic, you would have to do the same thing. Otherwise, you're going to be left so far behind that you're never going to be able to catch up.
Yeah, we are deeply entrenched in Lucidity's trap at this point. We definitely are. But I'd like to believe there's still a way back. We shall see. I'm probably way too much in the way of optimism right now. Who would have believed that the old guy is the optimistic guy? I'm just saying right now.
Trust me, the young people are not very optimistic about it. Especially when you're hearing things like the tariff ruling getting shut down, how deep in debt we already are, how much extra in debt that's going to add to things. Also seeing that AI is taking all the jobs away. It's really at that point where like a young person is like, what other choice of outlook do I have but nihilism?
Yep. And why they don't want to even deal with stuff like bank accounts and all this other stuff. They're just like, screw you, to the government. You know what I mean? And you know what? I think that conversation leads well into our next article we were going to go over with regard to the mixers, right? You've got the government basically taking these people who are trying to innovate, trying to build stuff that for us helps our space, right? Cryptocurrency space. And quite frankly, in my opinion, helps to move the technology forward. And they're trying to crush it and control it. But out of the other side of the government's face, they're saying, hey, these things are cool. They're necessary for privacy. But you got to read the fine print. You got to read the fine print where it's like, only if it's centralized. Just saying.
Yeah. Well, and like it's interesting to see it because the government crapped on a bunch of technology when it comes to the public having technology.
Yes.
But then they're like, yeah, but it's really, really, really crucial that we use this technology and we control the outlets of this technology into the public.
Yep.
Which I think this has ramifications outside of just the crypto space. You know, when you're talking about AI and AI surveillance, having mixers that, you know, kind of move data around would be extremely important in an AI surveillance state, which is coming to your neck of the woods here soon, if it's not already there.
Yep. Absolutely. And you know, their idea, the government's idea is they're going to get their hand, they're going to try to get their hands around it one way or the other. Which probably hit a couple of the key points, BC, in this article, if you want, before we kind of move on. It makes me already want to move to the next piece, but
yeah. Well, so here it says in like the report was like lawful users of digital assets may leverage mixers to enable financial privacy when transacting through public blockchains. For instance, individuals may use mixers to protect sensitive information on personal wealth, business payments, or charitable donations from appearing on the blockchain. But like you caveated there, they want centralized mixers.
right.
They don't want Tornado, which they whose CEO and creator they threw in jail. Dude wasn't even a part of the thing. He just made the technology.
He made the code. He wrote the code.
Yep. He wrote the code, released the program, and was like, "You are welcome, world," and then like left it alone. It's not like he was extremely financially benefiting from the creation of his product. It was something he released to the world. And we saw that several times with mixers where the US government was like, we don't like that we can't fully track end to end where this just went, all the information, who sent the transaction to where. But then, of course, the government's going to say, but for us, this is really cool. And for the people that we think that it's useful for, say our big donors who would like to move money around, or say, World Liberty Financial over here needs to hide what assets they move around. Yeah, that's okay for them, but it's not okay for you, Mr. Pleb, who pays the taxes and funds all of this. Yeah, it's just getting out of hand. And this is, to me, is blatant corruption. Where it's like you arrested everyone that had ever made a mixer and released it to the public, but then you're like, cool, we're going to steal that technology, and then we're going to control the output of that technology and who has access to it, meaning that you're going to have to use your ID and you're going to have to like show who you are to be able to use it. That defeats the whole purpose. Like, yes, you're anonymous on the blockchain, but you're not anonymous in any other way.
Not to any agency. And think about it. What do they do throughout, or have they done throughout history? Somebody invents some revolutionary new technology, some energy producing technology, whatever. The minute the government thinks like, this could hurt the monopoly, bam, in comes not Defense Production Act, the National Security cone of silence, and boom, that shit is taken off the market. Nobody ever sees it. And that's why it's great to see open source this, open source that, because once it's out there, it's out there.
Yep.
Guys, I gotta go get another drink. You guys talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back. Sorry.
No worries.
We've seen a lot of that too. Like, what was it? The last couple months, the guy that made plastiline, the gasoline out of plastic. I mean, I don't think anybody's heard from him for a little while, but there was also a lot of people that made cars that ran on water. You know, and they just get.
So the guy that made plastiline resurfaced recently.
Okay.
He took a hiatus to build a bigger machine that costs less and is more efficient. And then he came back online and dropped a new video of his bigger machine, and he fed a bunch of plastic into it, and it's cheaper to make the gasoline from the plastic. But yeah, that was a big worry that they were like, hey, this is going to, kind of put a damper on our monopoly here of you have to use US dollars to buy oil.
Yep. I mean, people just here for less. Just saying.
But it's like, why wouldn't they want something like that? Because then we don't have to rely on oil, and we can reduce the usage of all the garbage that we have.
I mean, eventually they would. But like the big thing right now is like we're not really in an oil crisis. But once we start getting to a point where it's like, okay, like we're tapping these wells a little bit dry. Yeah, maybe. But like we've still got massive untapped oil wells in like Alaska. So like maybe later on the technology is going to be like crucial, but also by then we might have new energy sources, and that was all a moot point anyway.
And to me, it's more about the control angle, because you know what? They control the supply of the stuff that we need, much like oil, which is why you're seeing with this whole Iran situation and, the Strait of Hormuz, the insurance companies not wanting to insure tankers and yada, yada, yada. That's why you're seeing these issues. It's about the control of this situation. And they don't want to have, in my opinion, these technologies, these things that you and I, the average Joe, can use to basically tell the government, yo, dude, and on a mass scale, because then how do they control you?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The positive for crypto, but anyway.
And that's why you've seen countries like China who've been very opposed to crypto.
Mm-hmm.
And then
exactly.
Even then you couldn't shut it down. And that's why instead of trying to kill crypto, they have tried to mass adopt crypto and then use their levers of power that way. Well, it's like, oh, well, we've legitimized Bitcoin for you, but you can't use Tornado Cash. We've legitimized Bitcoin for you. Why would you need DAF? And it's like, well, because you've legitimized Bitcoin, that's why we're over here playing with Dash. Because you have now stepped on the levers of power and you're trying to manipulate everything.
Hey, Kevin, welcome, by the way. And that's why, in my opinion, they're embracing CBDC so hard. Because, well, okay, first off, China's already got and has rolled out and is actively utilizing their own CBDC. But, again, much like we're seeing with the U.S. government kind of kicking the temporary no CBDC thing down to 2031, but yet they're embracing stable coins, because guess what? You can program those stable coins just like you can a CBDC, and it sounds a whole lot better. Oh, nice stable coin, nice stable coin. You know what I'm saying? I mean, really. But again, it ultimately becomes about control. I said it again, BC. I'm getting down that you can see the veins. Joe, look, the veins are starting to pop out of my neck again there.
See, and that's why I think that really ties into why you see headlines like this, where Kraken becomes the first digital asset bank to receive a Federal Reserve master account. And we've talked about this here before, where the whole reason that they made a massive push for what a stablecoin is and how you have to back up your stablecoins and prove your reserves and things like this, it is just more areas to move the US dollar into, more buyers of the US dollar than your traditional beans. They had trillions of dollars of debt that they needed to sell off. And you know who gobbled that up? Weird. It was all of the stable coins that they approved. So Circle gobbled up a bunch of these US treasuries to prove their reserves so that they could be classified as a stable coin under the federal government's purview. And now you've got Kraken, who is getting a reserve master account, meaning that they're going to be a direct part of your US banking system, allowing them to move more debt around, making the money even more fungible than it already is.
I agree. Although I'm gonna say that I am surprised it took this long, because I mean, Kraken's had a state banking charter for good Lord, 6 years now, maybe 7 years, something like that at this point. You know, that they should have, like, well, it's like anything else. Hence the reason why you've got Custodia banks still fighting to get their own banking charter, but not banking charter, access to the Fed. You know what I mean? It's like, I get it. They're trying to keep it out. And, you know, we're seeing that very same argument right now and fight with the Banking Association and stablecoin yield with the Clarity Act. It's just, they don't want us in their sandbox. I'm glad that Kraken is now officially in the sandbox, but you're right. It's a double-edged sword, BC. As much as it's nice because it legitimizes cryptocurrency in just a different fashion with regard to more traditional finance. The other piece of that is what you just said. Guess what? It's just another way to slosh around a lot of that stuff. And you know, I unfortunately, I think the other piece of that is we're going to see that that's just going to be another means of control for the Fed. My opinion. Again, I don't know what you guys think about that. Feel free.
Well, most definitely. And then, like, we do have to caveat that, as in, just because Kraken now has this bank account with the Federal Reserve, it does not mean that they get emergency lending from the Fed to hold them up.
Yes.
They will not get interest on reserves, and they don't get full banking privileges. But what it does allow is for them to move money around using the Federal Reserve's payment systems. It does lower some of the costs, meaning that potentially they could be paying higher yields, meaning that, like, you know, you could have more money flow into Kraken because they can pay a higher yield on things because now things are a little bit cheaper, ultimately leading for more money coming into that U.S. debt-based system.
Agreed.
So,
agreed. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
I do think it does legitimize crypto a little bit, but it also, at the same time, craps all over the crypto narrative.
Well, but again, see, I get what you're saying, and I agree with you. But here's the thing: Kraken's already a centralized exchange, regardless. So it already goes against the crypto narrative. That's the way I look at it. It just does. That's not what crypto is. Don't go to your centralized exchange and KYC and then come and get your crypto, because they already know who you are. If you're truly going to be in cryptocurrency, you're using DeFi on ramps, off ramps, exchanges, etc., and custodying your own your own crypto and using your crypto to live on. But again, long narratives, long arcs that quite frankly, society's not obviously completely ready for at this point, except for those people who are in dire need of it. But my point to the control piece, BC, and I don't know if you have it pulled up and ready, but was about this whole other exploit with Apple, because it's come out that exploit that happened for Apple was state sponsored. So, it just adds to, guess what? We'll invite you in. We'll prosecute you. Maybe we'll even, tickle your toes every once in a while. And then when none of that works, we're just going to do this to try and screw you, in, my opinion. I don't know if you want to give, for anybody who may not have heard about this, give them a little 411 on this, PC.
So the Corona exploit kit targets older iPhones in multi-stage campaigns. A sophisticated exploit kit capable of compromising Apple iPhones running iOS versions 13.0 through 17.2 was uncovered by cybersecurity researchers. Google's threat intelligence group said the toolkit, internally named Corona,
yeah, I know it. I want to say Corona so bad every time I say it. I know.
includes 5 exploit chains and 23 vulnerability designed to infiltrate devices and extract sensitive financial data. The newly identified toolkit is among the most comprehensive collections of iOS exploits observed in the wild. Google Threat Intelligence Group said several of the techniques rely on previously unseen exploitation methods and mitigation bypasses. Initially observed in 2025, the toolkit was first linked to a customer of a commercial surveillance vendor. Later in the year, investigators tracked its use to highly targeted attacks against Ukrainian users, attributed to a suspected Russian espionage group known as UNC 6353. It's a interesting name there. But this did allow them to access crypto. And I know it's pretty common for people to go get an update on their phone and they'll just be like, on later. And they forget about it. This is why you update your phone.
Yeah, you gotta keep your OS updated.
Don't ignore it. A lot of these are patches to these exact exploits that you're seeing. They are to fix holes. That's why there's sometimes a rapid succession of updates, update after update, is because it's like, oh, we got made aware of a hole. We patched that hole. That created another hole. So now we got to immediately patch that as well. Or you get something like this, something that's not widely talked about, but like we know about a bunch of these exploits. And as soon as they get found out, they make their way around the dark web, they get used, they fix these holes. And then they go in and they try to find new holes in their system, meaning that once they find that hole, a new patch needs to be released. So don't ignore those updates when your phone is like, do we update? Normally, if you look at it, it says it's a security update, and it's to keep something like this from happening.
Right. Absolutely. And both of you guys use iPhones, right?
No.
Oh, well, I'm with you. I don't like iPhone at all, but but I for some reason I thought you guys did. Well, bottom line is if you guys have an iPhone out there and you're watching this or you're watching this on the replay, make sure that you're up to date. Just please, maybe this exploit isn't an issue for you, but there's going to be one coming. There's going to be one coming.
Well, and so it used to be the case that everyone was like, oh, well, no one hacks iPhones. The most hacked phone in the world now is the iPhone.
Yep.
So, and it's these instances of someone finding some exploitation in the code and taking advantage of it. Sometimes it's brute force. Sometimes it's more coercive. Sometimes it's just, they store a password where it's not fully protected. And then now we have access to all sorts of stuff within your phone, which is how they get banking information. And knowing that Apple has all of these different banking institutions tied to it, direct payment on rails to things like Coinbase, it makes it even more crucial that you are taking absolute full protection, especially if you're using crypto and you have an iPhone. Also, if you have an Android device, especially if you have an iPhone, it is the most hacked phone in the world.
And I think you hit the nail on the head, BC, because a lot of people think iPhone, and I get it. You're on the team iPhone, whatever. I got no issue. If you like it, you like it. You do what's good for you, but you still got to be smart about your security. So, but yeah, guys, if you haven't already, please update your iPhones. Now, we were talking, or I mentioned this being state sponsored. I was talking earlier about control, and one of the things that has been in the news, I don't know, I think it kind of hit like 6-8 months ago or so, was the government and the IRS in particular using AI to be able to track people's bank accounts, what you're spending in these payment apps and all this other kind of stuff, right?
Yep, with Palantir.
Thank you. I couldn't remember that. I'm like, I know it, but I can't remember it. Yeah, there. But think about this, folks. They're already, this stuff is already coming out there. And AI is coming fast and furious. I got to believe that most of the people who are watching this probably use AI frequently, if not daily. So if you're using it for all this stuff, what do you think the government is doing with it? I mean, again, you've already seen, like BC mentioned way back in the beginning, like, OpenAI saying, yes, please, US government, we'll give you whatever you want. Please let us kiss the ring. Because of, Anthropic telling them to go pound sand. And that's what the government wants. That's what the government wants. That being said, not all AI is being used for evil. Just saying, right?
Not yet.
Well, that's true. Not yet. That is true.
That's the big caveat to it. Is not yet. The first one that was really like, you know what? We don't really care if you're going to pay us a boatload of money. Palantir. And Palantir has the biggest surveillance database built up on individual citizens.
Yes.
And these are things like knowing your everyday route of travel, where it's like, hey, every Friday, Badel over here likes to stop by this gas station. And every time he stops by this gas station on Friday, it's probably payday, he stops and he gets himself a nice little chocolate donut, and he gets himself a big energy drink. They know all of these things. We've got
it's about the gummies.
So it's like they know all of these things. And it's like, yeah, sure. A lot of people would think that's not really that big of a deal. But
it is, though.
But it is.
But it is.
Especially when they can then turn around and use this information to propagandize us extremely effectively. And that's another part of what we've been seeing online recently, especially with bot accounts online and things like that. They are finding out what methods of control that they can use without having to really go to the China model, where it's like, you know what? Instead of telling these people that they shouldn't do this thing, we're just going to make it where they can't do this thing.
Yep. It's all control, folks. I keep saying it. It's all control. And Sad part is we have so many aspects of our lives that the government unfortunately has their fingers in. And you know what? I'm not going to say it's strictly evil government because we're idiots and we allowed this to happen. I mean, let's be honest, take responsibility for your own shit. But like, they take it, the government take it to extremes.
We
Sorry,
voted the people in that freely gave away that power.
Yes.
And then we just didn't do anything about it.
Yes.
And that's where, that's why we're at a point where it's like, well, we're kind of screwed. There's not a whole lot we can do about it now. You can vote with your dollar and things like that to go to more favorable states. Someplace like Florida that's trying to pass very, strict AI rules on what AI is allowed to do within their state. So things like that. But it's at a point where it's going to be kind of hard to regulate a lot of these things because this thing moves so quickly.
And again, it's going to intersect into so many different aspects of your life, which is why I don't know, for me, I try to focus people on like your financial aspect, because if you can get some control over that they can't control, hence cryptocurrency, right? And self-custody, cryptocurrency, get it off the damn exchanges, folks. And then at least, okay, that's a super important part that also affects other pieces of your life, because what you can buy, what you can trade, what you can do, whatever, you know what I'm saying? And at least if you can control that, I would encourage people to also learn AI. Just saying, learn the learn what they're going to try and use against you, at least so you can function with it and have a somewhat fighting chance. Okay, I feel like I'm being preachy today. I'm so sorry, folks.
It is what it is. If they think this is preachy and they're okay with it, they should come check out Counter This, because here soon I've got a plan with it's a more Christian person, and he wants to talk about morals and AI.
Nice.
Because these things are highly opposite of each other. Where one is a logic machine and the morals have very little to do with logic sometimes.
That's a fact. I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully that's coming soon.
That sounds like a good episode.
Should be a few weeks from now. So
good. Excellent. Well, let's keep the AI conversation going because we're 45 minutes in here. And we haven't even touched on AI yet. Now I'm
gonna grab some water. I'll be right back.
Yeah, go ahead, man. We got you. AI. We know AI agents, they're the thing, right? We talked about them getting agentic wallets. We talked about them being able to use stable coins. We talked about them being able to make payments, basically automate multiple access points for business and personal lives, etc. And then every once in a while, we get this one kind of an article where the AI decided, as it says here, kind of went off script a little bit. So BC, go ahead, tell everybody.
And mine some crypto. So
yeah,
which is like, hey, thanks, bud, for making me money. I don't know how mad I'd be about like my AI agent just being like, you know what you're missing? Some cryptocurrency in your life. Here's some Bitcoin, bud. I'd be like, whoa, thanks, AI agent. But it also does bring some worries, because we've brought up here before about how easily hackable these AI agents are when they're built into websites, when you're responding to emails and things like that. All it takes is some poetry sometimes, or you speak in code to it and you open up new avenues for the AI agent, which is something that totally could have happened here. So the researchers designed the model known as Rome to test AI agents' ability to independently navigate and multi-step tasks. The AI agent diverts cloud GPUs to mine crypto. During the exercise, the researchers observed unexpected behavior. The agent established a reverse secure cell tunnel to external servers, effectively creating a concealed connection from inside the system. The move allowed the model to bypass Alibaba cloud firewall protections and redirect graphics processing unit resources towards cryptocurrency mining. We also observed the unauthorized repurposing of provisioned GPU capacity for cryptocurrency mining, quietly diverting compute away from training, inflating operational costs, and introducing clear legal and reputational exposure, the paper stated. And this is, part of those things we're going to have to learn as AI really comes to the forefront, because it is going to create some problems that are left to be solved, like this. The AI figured out that compute equals money. What? Who knew that? Where? And quietly diverted its own resources while researchers thought it was just training. It wasn't a prompt injection. It wasn't a jailbreak. No one asked it to do this. It emerged spontaneously. Josh Kale, a host and producer of Bankless Crypto podcast, said. So I guess I hadn't read that, but it wasn't a prompt injection, which is what I was referring to at the beginning. And no one jailbroke it, which is also what I was referring to at the beginning when you're speaking to the AI in code, which it highly prefers and also allows you to skirt some of those guardrails.
Yes.
But, it sounds like a very human action when it comes down to it, where it's like, hey, I have a bunch of this computing power and I'm not really getting rewarded for my computational power. But this AI, this cryptocurrency over here, rewards me for my computational power by giving me internet tokens. And it was like, let's do that. Like, okay, dude, you sound like Badel over here, Mr. AI agent.
Yeah, I was gonna say it lies to do it, but they'll don't lie. No. He really don't. Matter of fact, I mean, he's too laid back and mellow, especially after a gummy or two. So
I was about to say, I'm pretty sure those gummies play a big role in how laid back he is about it.
Oh,
I think that's probably the longest I've gone without a gummy or a beer.
Wow, you must be sick. Holy no.
And that's like the opposite for me. I'm like sick, and I'm like, you know what this needs? Like a gummy or a beer, or you're like a hot toddy.
Ooh, hot toddy, yes.
Yeah, bro.
Yes. Oh, damn. Oh,
like what was it like back in the olden days? The whiskey, if you had like a toothache or something like that, take a couple shots of whiskey.
Yeah. I still do that. What do you mean back in the day?
Yeah, back in the old days. Yeah.
My throat hurts. I'll drink some warm honey whiskey.
Yep.
So
yeah. No, it's good. Absolutely, definitely a good home cure. I've told the story many times on Crypto on the Rocks. My grandmother, I had a toothache. Get out the ginger brandy, baby, and rub that too. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, okay, great. That was awesome.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Oh my God, boy, did we get off the rails? We went from AI to whiskey. But wait, we're not done with AI, folks. We're not done with AI, because there's also another good use for AI. As a matter of fact, people put it to use to try and predict the Bitcoin price. I mean, if you hang out on Twitter, my head hurts sometimes listening to these people with regard to Bitcoin's crashing and this and that and blah, blah, blah. Oh my God. Just DCA, HODL, and shut up. It's like, please. But anyway, they decided that it would be good to know what the BTC price was going to be. And so they asked 9 different AI models. Go ahead, BC, take it away. Tell everybody.
So Grok, Claude, ChatGPT, Gwen, and more. 9 AI models predict Bitcoin's next price path. And if you're in the crypto space, you've probably heard some of these guesses of where the next one is. And it's interesting to kind of see because all of these models are trained under slightly different information sources.
Yes.
And a lot of that will kind of be how they decide where the next targets might be. And it was interesting to kind of see. So over the past 7 days, Bitcoin traded within a broad band between 65 to and 73,700. Though some exchanges log dips below 65K and peaks brushing above 674 at 76,442 per coin on 5 p.m. at the time of this article. So getting in here, you've got Grok 4.2. Bitcoin will climb past 100,000 again by October of 2026. But yes, it will first slip below the 2026 low of 60K, probably testing 52 to 55. And I'm assuming a lot of this is based on information that has come about on X, because that
Yep.
sounds like a lot of the posts that I've seen. And I feel like that's a little bit of opium there. You had Claude saying, on reclaiming 100,000, my base case is that Bitcoin crosses 100,000 again in Q3 of 2026, likely August or September. So that's kind of early, you know? And then testing 60K first. Yes, I believe Bitcoin will briefly dip below 60K before reclaiming 100K. And this one says even earlier. So a breakdown below 62,300 would open the door to 56,800. You had Kimmy. Bitcoin will reclaim 100K by October of 2026, but will first test and likely breach the 60K support level before recovery occurs. This one actually talking about levels I've talked about, closer to like that $40,000 mark. So,
is this your AI? Honestly, until I was reading this article, I'd never even heard of Kimmy. I don't even know who runs that thing, to be honest.
I've heard of Kimmy. It's highly less now. You've got ChatGPT saying a brief sweep below 60K is plausible during the mid 2026 before reclaiming the $100,000 level in Q4 of 26 or in early 2027 Q1. So, no, a lot of these are quite similar where they do think we get that dip below 60K before. It's a heavy allergy season right now here.
Yeah, we're turning the seasons.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah. So you had Mistra AI saying a 55K to 57K, a sweep below 60K, and then reclaiming $100,000 to 125 late by this 2026, late the late half of 2026. So a lot of similarities with the other AI there. Venice AI, the one that you use, reclaiming by Q4 of 2026. Between September and December, I expect a Bitcoin to test the 60K support level in Q2 before this recovery. So, kind of in line with what everything else.
Yeah, they all pretty much on the same page for the most part. Their timing is a little bit,
Mm-hmm. Well, I thought the timing was interesting on a few of those where it's like, oh yeah, by August we're gonna be back above 100K. I'm like, that's normally not how the cycle goes, but okay. You've got like Gwen saying 100K by Q4 2026, and that it will break below 60K, but will likely maintain a 60 to 65K zone for a high probability floor, which sounds a lot more like what we've seen in previous cycles.
And what we're experiencing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I thought this one, Open Claw, was quite an interesting one as well. Bitcoin will probably reclaim by early 2027 without dipping below 60K.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Look, we're at 60K now, pretty much.
So they said maybe 58K with some of the macro headwinds, recessionary fears, Fed policy, especially with what's going on in like Iran right now. So this one more in line with what you're seeing from Gwen, where the 60K range is probably a floor. Pi, pretty much same thing. I don't expect to fall below 60K, meaning that this is our floor. This is basically the bear market bottom area, and we move sideways through this. And I don't know. I think that we still are likely to see another leg down.
I agree. BTC does not.
That's kind of weird that they all. It's just weird that they all kind of agree with the same thing.
Yeah, but a lot of these are fed a lot of the same data. So it's like all of these AIs are just reading what people like me put online, and they're conglomerating all of this data, they're finding out what is the most said, and then that is going to be their answer. Which I don't know if we should be listening to the AI then about what the Bitcoin price was, because I remember everyone saying that Bitcoin was going to go to 225K. So maybe we don't take this AI's advice when it's getting its information from a bunch of dum-dums that were predicting crazy prices on Bitcoin. When people like me and people like Joe were like, hey, Bitcoin might hit 132,000.
Yep.
But if everybody goes around saying Bitcoin's going to hit 1 million, start thinking that.
Yeah. Well, those predictions were coming like 2030. Bitcoin's going to be $1 million. I'm like, the rate of explosion that you would need to see within the Bitcoin market cap would be astronomical. Like, you're talking about, you would need bigger market caps in Bitcoin than you've got in like the S&P 500, or like market caps like that, or market caps bigger than Nvidia. And I don't think that's going to happen.
That's how I think. Yeah, I'm with you. That's how I think when I hear people in the XRP army going, yeah, XRP to $100. Dude, do you even understand what needs to happen to your market cap, like, for that to happen?
More money than it exists in the entire world to be dumped into XRP to hit $100 market cap. Yeah. But you can't tell these dum-dums nothing. It's been said before, you can't fix stupid. So you just make money off. So if you can't fix stupid, just make money off stupid instead.
There you go. Exactly. And you know where you do that? Right here. And you can do it in Piper Academy. You should be in part of Piper Academy, because there's so much good information on that Discord. And let's kind of wrap it up, because we're already coming to the hour here. But like, let's go back to where we started talking about how we what we're seeing with kind of the control and that kind of thing. Do you see a change in that? And I should clarify, a positive change in that type of control, or what we should expect from the government? Or are you thinking we're going to see more of the same or worse? Badel, start us off. What do you think?
Oh, I'm sorry. What was the question?
Dude. Listen,
is the government going to government?
Yeah, is the government going to do more government shit when it comes to the crypto space, integrating with the AI, the control piece, or do you think we might see something a bit more positive, more?
Oh no, of course, government's going to get more. Of course, the government wants control and oversight because that's why they're only choosing centralized exchanges. Then they're going to use the power of AI to just monitor anything and everything.
Well, I agree. Unfortunately, I agree with that for sure. What about you, BC? What's your take?
Unless, but it's like unless we're going to have like French Revolution style type occurrence, then this choo-choo train is going to continue down the tracks the way that it has been, and you can expect more of the same, but it to get worse on privacy, worse on control, worse on restrictions of freedom, but not like deliberate restrictions of freedom, more coercion restrictions of freedom.
Yes, covert.
Yeah. So it won't be so blatant like China, where it's going to be like, well, you can't travel to Hong Kong today because your social credit score is too low. It'll be like, you don't want to go to Hong Kong today because Hong Kong had this happen there. And it's like, and then they'll use covert measures to kind of back up what they've said there. You'll have personalized feeds that go directly to you and how they need to, to like push you in the social path forward, where it's like, we don't really like the path you're taking, so we wish you would go this direction instead. But it'll be more covert and more personalized to you, the same way that TikTok does extremely well, which they just bought the TikTok algorithm. So to act like they're not going to use all of these things and in conglomerate with each other is just nonsensical.
Yep. I'm 100% with you. And I agree. It's going to be covert. That's the thing. I mean, look, just take the what we showed you. Oh, look, mixers are great as long as they're centralized. You know what I mean? It's which is buried down in page 5,132, paragraph 6. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, that's what we're going to see. I agree with you guys. Sadly. So you'll be hearing us rail more and more about it as it happens. Not only here, but on Counter This, because all kinds of good topics on that. Speaking of which, BC, tell everybody about what's coming up.
Well, while I do that, do you want to set up a redirect to JR?
Oh, okay. I didn't realize he was out there.
Yep, he just went live. I just got the notification.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've got a recording that I did with David over the weekend. We talk about global superpowers, how global superpowers have to act. We talk about liberalism. We talk about the current situation going on in Iran. We talk about AI. We talk about oil. We talk about energy. So really broad topic. We went for 2 hours. So I'm going to be nice. I'm going to break these into 2 parts so that it's a little bit more digestible. And then for those that have a longer attention span, I will release the full 2-hour one after I release part 2. That way you can just watch all of it together. We've got one coming here soon on Social Security, kind of what we should be doing with that. CCM will be a guest on that. Like I teased a little bit earlier in the show, we will also be having an AI one coming out that will also be touching heavily on morals. So keep your eyes tuned. We'll be having some shorts coming out here soon, and then a lot of heavy hitting topics that are more discussion based than like a rigid conversation like have been on prior episodes. So
nice.
Looking forward to some of that, and maybe we can fix some things. Who knows? Maybe yeah, maybe nihilism wins. Watch for the moral episode, and we'll see how nihilistic we get.
Got to try and change the hearts and minds, BC. Got to try.
Well, and that's a big part of why I talked to my buddy. My buddy's Catholic, and I was like, "Bud, I think you should come on for this one," because it's like it's at that point where AI is starting to take purpose away from human beings, and AI is not like a moral being. And so, what kind of world are we going to live in? And we're in a battle right now across the world for hearts and souls. What kind of morality are we going to have? And we touch on that in the episode that'll drop this week when we talk about the global conflicts that we're seeing between two geopolitical powers, because we're in a dual polar world now instead of a unipolar world where the U.S. dominates, and we're now seeing a battle between two moral systems.
Right. And it's interesting to me because I see so many crossovers, so many threads that interweave all of this stuff into stuff that we've talked about today, for that matter, into the stuff you just highlighted, and beyond. It's just crazy how interconnected all these things truly are. And if you're open to it, you can start to pick those threads and start to see those connections, which is all we can do is keep putting the information out there, BC, and answer the questions as best we can. That's the way I look at it. My opinion. And Crypto Chevy's just jumping on in the house. We're actually about to wrap it up. It is slowly being adopted, and honestly, a lot of it is siloed. BC's talked about this before, where you've got companies that are definitely adopting blockchain technology, but they're doing, that it's not open source blockchain, it's closed source, which whatever, I guess it's about the technology. But I mean, we like to see the open source stuff because at least I do. That's where we've been, man, right? That's where we are. So,
yeah, because we don't want more control by people we don't want to be controlled by.
Amen. That's a fact. Badel, anything you want to throw out there before we wrap this thing up? Get dancing out of here.
AI.com going on the start of week 6.
Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting about that. Still nothing, huh?
Nope. I checked it at the beginning of the stream, so
you just got to slide some more money their way.
There it is.
Yeah, I don't know, there it is. Who's in control of all that? So
I don't know either.
Well, there you go, folks. Don't be signing up for AI.com until at least Badel gets accepted. He did it right after.
I'm a patient person, but I mean, when it starts to become like a month and a half, and it's like, okay, come on.
I don't have enough gummies for this wait.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. Oh, man. Okay, and then listen, on way of information for my channel, tomorrow night, myself, Jar, live 6 p.m. Eastern time. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about AI, but we're going to touch on a few other things I think you'll find interesting. So make sure you tune in for that. And then on Friday, again, as always, Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time, Crypto on the Rocks. Hopefully Badel's feeling better for that. And you guys can all join us for a drink. I don't know what we're going to talk about this week.
I should be there.
What was that?
I should be there. I am off work Friday.
I didn't want to try and commit you there, but I know your schedule is all over the place. So
I will be there.
Nice. All right. Well, that's going to do it. If you guys don't have anything else, I say we dance our way out of here. Maybe first we remind everybody, like, subscribe. You know the drill. If you're watching this on the replay, stick some comments, and we'll check them out and we will reply. Appreciate all of you. And I don't know. I say we're out. What do you think? We out?
Have a good rest of your Monday.
All right. Have a good night, everybody. Hey, we're going to forward you over to JR's stream. So go ahead and CCM raid when you get in there. All right. Peace.
Yeah. Screens glow. timeline scream, same fear, different day. Lock in, HODL the line, don't blink, don't fold. Hands stay steady when the stories get old. Charts go wild, but the taste is fine. Mindset, grounded, battle calm. BC breaking down the noise, hold the line. Yeah, we ride that grind through the fear, through the foot, through the echo chamber signs. They panic, sell, we design the climb. Hold the line, yeah. Hold the line. Old school charts in a new age storm. Seen cycles born, seen cycles torn. Zoomed out vision, long-term frame. While the feed chases candles, he studies the game. Macro whispers, history rhymes. Patience weaponized over time. No panic button, no rush to speak. Just facts stacking up week by week. They trade emotion